Hi and welcome back. Now if you're new to New World or just a returning player or just haven't really got into farming that much, this guide is going to cover all the bases for all skills. We'll cover potions, foods, perks, the armour you should be wearing, the tools and some tips and tricks at the end just to help you get past. Now I'll try and go through this as quick as possible and value the time you've given and try and make sure that you understand exactly why all these things are extremely important to ensure that you get the best from farming in New World. Potions are extremely important because they can actually increase the yield of resources that you gather. These come in 5 different tiers and they can be crafted at the workshop. However, if you're like me, I just purchase them from the marketplace simply because my workshop skill isn't that high. These are very effective, especially if you're doing high tier resource gathering in dangerous areas, meaning you're going to get more yield for what exactly you're doing. These also come into play if you're going to go for a long run and the duration is increased by the tier that you take to make sure you get as much as possible to efficiently mine or gather or log in the time that you're actually spending doing it. Moving on to food, there's 4 different types of food, all key to each one of the gathering, harvesting, logging and mining. Now these will increase your luck. These are probably more important to take if you are doing a higher level because the drops will dramatically increase in my findings anyway. Again, you can craft these yourself, or if you wish you can go to the marketplace. There is newer foods coming out with brimstone sands I believe, which will probably help this as well. These are very good to have, decent consumables to use, but they can be quite expensive depending on the fluctuation on your server, so it may be worth trying to get your cooking experience up. Buy the recipes very cheap and then just craft them yourself. Now just to touch on your attribute points, if you put 250 points into any of the attributes shown, you will get a 10% extra yields, and please note again, with strength you actually get more carry as well. A lot of people are a little reluctant to do this because they have to respec and they don't like changing back and forward from the attribute points after they've set it up, but it's one to take note of. Something that I do a lot of mining, so I always put my strength up to make sure that I can get the maximum that I can from what I do. Now touching armour sets. Woodcutting, miner, skinner and harvester all have their own sets in different tiers. Bear in mind you can get a lot of these lower tiers as drops out in the world, but the most beneficial place to do it is get it in the marketplace, especially if you're looking for something specific. Obviously perks are very key, and perks are something we're going to touch on in a moment, but armour sets can be extremely useful because they can give you additional boost to what you're doing. Yes, if you go into dangerous areas your combat won't be as good, especially if you're in PvP mode, but if you're really serious about making the most out of your mining, farming, harvesting or logging, definitely have a full set, and you can actually increase from 600 to 625 using unbridled shards for these sets as well. Now touching on perks, there are 2 main perks you want for each of the 4 main farming as are shown above. Luck and yield. These are key to make sure you get the best drops from what you are farming and you get the most from what you're farming as well. Combined with the potions, the food and everything else, this will extremely improve what you're going to get from farming, and again it makes the time you're putting into this extremely efficient to get the best from what you can get. This is the best way to get high tier items and make sure you can flood the marketplace and get gold, as well as be able to craft anything else at high tier that you wish to do. Now tools, just like everything else, are extremely important the higher tier they go up. This is because the higher tier the more perks you can have, and leading into the perks you just spoke of, if you can get 2 of those perks on your tools, it means you're going to maximise as best as possible what you're going to get. Just bear in mind there are new legendary tools coming into play. Haven't put them in this video yet because if you're a newer player I don't want you to try and get legendary tools straight away, but what I will say is try and get the best tool, but don't try and break the bank to get it. If you can only get one of the perks to start off with, that's fine, just wait till later until you can actually afford to get it or be able to craft it on your own. A lot of people will try to rush in, break the bank, and they take a long time to recoup that gold back and suffer in the long run from being able to buy other gear and accessories that they require. Next we'll move on to bags. Now just like the tools, the better the bag you get, the better the perks you can get as well, and the more perks you can get. Bags can be quite expensive as you move up, but they're probably the most important thing that you're going to buy in New World. Make sure you choose the perks wisely, because some vendors will try and sell rubbish bags for a high price, trying to catch out unsuspected people, or have one really good perk and the other one be absolutely rubbish. I tend to try and get one of my bags to have enhanced mining carry weight or more slots along with luck. That is the best things for me personally, but bags as a whole are extremely important because it will dictate exactly what you can carry when you're doing elite runs, run around in the world itself, and not having to go back to put stuff in the storage. They're a very big investment, and just like the tools, there is a legendary bag coming out which will have more perks, so do not invest too much in bags at the moment. All the tier 4 bags will drop in price because everyone will be trying to get the legendary bags, so if you're new, take advantage of that and save for the legendary bags and get the legendary bag which is best for you and at the best cost that you can. Now, moving on to trophies, you can have 3 houses and 1 of each trophy in each house. You can't stack trophies, say like 3 mining in one house, they have to be spread out across 3 houses. Trophies can be extremely expensive as the higher in tier they go up. If you have someone in your company who can craft them, maybe ask them if you manage to get all the materials, or try the elite runs to see if you can try and get everything together to craft it yourself. As I said, these can be extremely expensive on the marketplace. They give you luck when you're out doing one of the 4 skills that you're trying to achieve, but very beneficial. You can have a trophy in one house and it covers you across the entire map, so don't think you have to keep moving your house or your trophies around. It's universal to all areas, so please bear that in mind. Some people don't realise that and they end up buying houses in different places and waste a lot of gold. Now, just some simple tips and tricks from me. I use mining as my main source of income in New World. Now, to do that, I tend to find areas using the New World IO map, which shows you all mining, harvesting, logging, high level items on a map display, which I've got a video on. The card will be at the top now if you want to see that. And I try to pick the best time to do it. If I'm going to go farming, I'll make sure I'll go when I know there is, say, faction wars happening, or if it's early in the morning and I know that area is going to be quiet. If you're going to try and contest these areas when the server is very populated, you're not going to get very lucky, trust me. It's very highly contested in some areas, especially for things like lodestone or iron trees. You're going to have to really figure out a good route, a long route, and one that's going to be beneficial for your time that you're going to put into this. Another tip from me is ensure that you always wear your kit when you're doing stuff. Make sure you're wearing your armour, even if it's just doing a couple of nodes or a couple of trees at a time, because if you can increase the luck and get a good drop, it's going to help you later on when you go to sell a lot of things. I used to be quite lazy, but especially with the loadout system coming in soon, where you can just quickly switch, say, from your normal armour for PvP etc to your harvesting armour, it'll make it a lot easier. But don't be lazy, because all you're going to do is cost yourself, as well as making sure that you can fluctuate the market. When it comes to selling your stuff, make sure you don't just go to someone who's looking to buy, because you're undercutting yourself. If you find a pinch point on the market where a certain item, say lodestone, isn't very popular in the market at the minute, there's not a lot of people selling it, you can try and manipulate the cost yourself if the demand is there. That's why farming is very profitable, because a lot of people want to progress, and to progress they need materials. So that is my full farming guide. This is everything you need to know about farming in New World. It covers every single aspect, every single armour, perk. If you carry out all this across all the 4 disciplines, you will improve the yield and the luck of what you're going to do, and it'll make it more beneficial for you in the long run as well. To ensure that you do this, just keep that in mind at all times, because as a grind, you're going to be highly contesting with other people. If they aren't thinking like you and making sure they've got the right armour sets, using potions and food, even if they're getting 3 nodes to your 2, you're probably going to be better off than them anyway.